Do you want to know something that no one tells you? We all have this assumption that once we start our self-development journey and we build that body, we read those books, we learn this thing, we cultivate that skill, we get better at this, we all have this assumption that we will be richly rewarded for our efforts at the end. That there's going to be this prize that we can walk into. And that prize is whatever you think it's going to be. Whether you are improving yourself to make more money, to get respect or admiration from other people, or if you're trying to find that ideal partner and build a dream relationship. Whatever that might be, we all have this assumption. We have a deep understanding that we know that we need to work on improving ourselves to then become a person capable of earning that thing, whatever that goal is. But we kind of have this assumption that once we do X, Y, and Z, and we improve those aspects of ourselves, that thing will just kind of appear. We're going to walk into that goal. And what no one tells you is that a lot of times as you improve your own personal life, which in turn will improve your capacity in your dating life and what you bring to the table to offer. What no one tells you is that a lot of times you do all of that work on yourself, you get to that end destination, and then your dating life is absolutely no different from what it was before you ever started doing the work. Absolutely no different. If anything, a lot of times your dating life is worse than it was before. And it kind of makes you you sit there and think, what the hell? What was the point of counting those calories, grinding those workouts, reading those books, being hypercritical of myself every time I made a social faux pas? What was the point of doing all of that if my dating life is not only not any better, but is arguably worse than it was before? And I had to go through that process and learn that my dating life actually got worse for a time after doing all of that work. And I couldn't understand why. It's like, why did it get worse? I'm better. I'm better than who I was. I bring more to the table. I'm a higher quality overall person. Why have things degenerated? It shouldn't work this way. And it took me a very long time to figure out that it comes down to is we're going to go into the spiritual woo-woo territory, but oh well. It comes down to vibrations and how you resonate as a person. And as you improve yourself and you continue to get better and you build yourself out, essentially what's happening, to just really simplify this whole process, is you are vibrating at a higher frequency. You're operating at a higher level of resonance. And there's not as many other people that are going to be operating at that same frequency. And generally speaking, other people can tell what your frequency is going to be before you can tell what your own is. There's like a lag behind who we think we are, but who others perceive us to be. So it takes a few years for us, our perception of ourselves, to catch up to how other people see us. I was just having this conversation yesterday and talked about how we never really grow out of that whole idea of you look in the mirror and you still see that 18-year-old version of yourself. At least I do. And obviously that's not who I want to be anymore. But that image has never really gone away. Not entirely. I still see that guy, parts of that guy, in myself, even though I am so different in every single way. And I've changed 10 times over from that period of my life. But you still get glimpses of that person. Other people don't. Especially strangers who don't know me and who didn't know me when I was that age. They wouldn't see that person anymore. But I still do. And their perception is different than my perception. My perception of who I am today hasn't entirely caught up to how others are going to perceive me. And this is a lot of times what happens when you improve yourself and you step into that new role of who you now are, how you see yourself hasn't caught up. Strangers who don't know anything else about you, who don't know your history, who don't know your backstory, who don't know where you came from, they just see what's in front of them. They see this person who's, for lack of a better term, shining, who's resonating at this higher level. But you don't see it yet. Your perception of yourself hasn't caught up to how that stranger is going to perceive you. And the reason why this applies to your dating life is because just think from the perspective of another person who sees you for who you are, but you don't recognize that they do. They see this person who's vibrating up here, and they think they're here. And there's this discrepancy. And you appear to be interested in them at their level, and they're kind of confused why. They're thinking, why is this woman who's like kicking ass up here, why is she interested in me? It doesn't make sense. He's kind of confused. And he thinks, okay, at best, she's just trying to have some fun, or this is only going to work out short term. But at worst, he thinks she's actually somewhat serious. We fall in love, we end up together, and then she wakes up 2 years from now and realizes, I totally settled. I could have done better than this guy the entire time. I don't know why I made that decision. I'm out. And then she leaves. And not only does she leaves and finds another man who is way better than you in every single way. And that's like the ultimate gut punch. It's horrible. And a lot of guys are going to think this way. If you're a woman who's really progressed well and you're doing really well, and guys are confused as to like, why is this woman single? What is this deal? And I mean, they're going to have their insecurities. They're going to have insecurities about who you are now, and then they're also going to have insecurities around the projected path that you're operating on. They're concerned that you're already beyond who they are now. You're not on the same level as he is. You're above him. And here you are in this growth mode, and you're presumably only going to continue to get better. And he's not on that same path. He recognizes, like, when this woman's going to outgrow me. If she's not already outgrown me, she's certainly going to outgrow me in the future. We're just not on the same frequency. But you, yourself, haven't picked up this disparity yet. You are still seeing yourself here, and he's here. And you're like, oh, yeah, this guy's attractive. He's cute. I mean, we're similar, right? And you see yourself here. But he sees you here. You just haven't bridged that gap yet. It might take you a couple of years. Until you realize that and you do bridge that gap, the dating life is always going to be a little bit off. Now, I don't want you to take this to mean that if you have any dating struggles, that, well, clearly nothing is my fault and I don't need to work on correcting any of my behavior. No, it's not at all what I'm saying. I'm simply offering an explanation as to why occasionally your dating life seems to stagnate or maybe even get worse despite the massive improvement that you put into yourself, and you thought it would translate to more dates and with more higher quality people, and yet here you are, you find people are scared of you. They're actually intimidated by you. And you'd think, I'm this being of greater potential, they should be resonating with me, but it doesn't work that way. It's almost like you're at this higher level, you can resonate down, but they can't resonate up. And so you feel that you can still connect with them, but they can't connect with you. And until you recognize that disparity, you're going to continue to date people that probably aren't actually on your level, and who are always probably going to be thinking and fearing what might happen. And as long as that discrepancy exists, someone is going to have an insecurity in the relationship. The person who's at the lower vibrational frequency is always going to fear that the higher vibrational frequency person will one day wise up and leave them. And the higher vibrational frequency person, let's say, who knows that they're dating someone who's not on their level will always have at the back of their mind the idea that maybe I settled. And that's where we get this whole someone was the settler, someone was the reacher situation, assuming both partners didn't come together as truly equals. It's just frequencies, just what you resonate at. I kind of wanted to make the video on this because I've had this exact conversation like 3 or 4 times just this week. So I figured make a video on it. It'll be a little easier. This one wasn't as organized as I would have preferred. It was a little bit all over the place. But it happens. If anyone has any video topic recommendations, ideas that I can make going forward, I am open to any and all suggestions, because a lot of times these just are something I'm thinking about and it's like, let's make a video on it. Either way, I hope this has explained a little bit and shed some light on the self-development process and why it's not exactly all it's cracked up to be until you learn to work around your newfound powers. Once you learn how to integrate them back into a way that other people can connect with and they don't feel like you're just lording your superiority over them or that you're just this untouchable person. So until next time, see you soon.